Hey everyone, welcome to the Parts Girl podcast. I'm super excited to be interviewing Brad Paschal with Dynatron. Welcome, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be interviewing you because I feel like I've been wanting to interview you for a while. And I love that you're 1 year with Dynatron, right? That's
Yeah,
about 1 year.
just hit my 1 year on the day after my birthday on April 10th. So
Awesome.
yeah,
That's
love it here. We got a fantastic team. Leadership is awesome. I have some of the best teammates that I could have out there. They've all been super helpful and really gone out their way to make me feel comfortable. And it's a fun environment. It's a fun place to be where you can help people and help dealers with stuff that they don't normally think about on the service side. We know that sales gets all the glory, right? And service and parts is kind of like not as sexy as sales is, right? So Christine Mitchell says sales is sexy, but service is essential, you know?
Oh yeah, and it's so fun too because I run across that like where they're not really looking at what you're trying to show like the opportunity. So it's a fun challenge. And I always see Dynatron everywhere. You guys are doing such a great job. And I always hear great things about what you guys are doing. So tell me about some things that you're hearing from the dealerships you're working with. Just like what's the number one thing like when you get on a sales call and you're like, okay, what's going on, guys? Like, I always hear the same thing. So, what do you hear?
Yeah, I mean the toughest one is technician recruiting, right? So that's probably the number one issue within the service departments that we hear that we come across the most. The other one that we hear a lot is dealerships having trouble submitting for warranty rate increases. And so we have something that kind of helps with technician recruiting, but I also usually provide them like a free strategy that I came up with on Facebook to try to help on the recruiting aspect. The average cost of recruiting the tech is like 3 grand, which is crazy. There's ways out there to recruit technicians, but you have to think like a technician, right? They hate filling stuff out. You don't want to drive them straight to a website lead. You want to drive that ad or whatever straight to a phone call, right? Because they're not going to fill the application out. They fill stuff out all day long. We have enough trouble with them filling out the MPI or other stuff like that. It's just the nature of what they do, right? They're hands-on kinesthetic people. So we have three different communication styles. We have kinesthetic, visual, and auditory. So you have to apply to that kinesthetic person and say, "Hey, just make this phone call. We'll go through this. Bring me this, this, and this," and really kind of treat it like a BDC where you're trying to set the appointment for the interview. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I see. Now we have a cool thing where we take dealers and we put them in a 20 group on steroids. It's kind of like a 20 group, but it has market data like Viato or VinQ or some other products like that. And so you're able to see what alignment sold for the day before, but you're also able to see what every store is paying their tech hours wise on the alignment. And so, you know what makes it really easy to recruit and retain technicians? If you pay them fair on every service,
Yeah.
right? So, if we're able to help you pay your techs fair on every service, but also pick up gross profit, in the end, not only do you have more money to pay technicians for recruiting, but you also have more money. They're also paid fair on every service. And how technicians talk about tech pay is they say, "Hey, I'm getting 1.3 on this alignment. I'm getting 2.0 on brakes. I'm getting," you know what I mean? That's how they talk about it. They don't say, "I make $43 an hour." They talk about how much they're getting paid on every service. And so I think that's an important part that we miss is before you start recruiting, let's make sure you're paying your people fair across the board.
Yeah. I think that's a big deal because just to see what other people in your market are paying, it's like that's how you can be fair
Yeah.
and see what's going on. Because you're right, that's a big deal. You know, they want to feel like they're getting paid fair for their work
Oh,
and not have to
100%.
question everything.
100%. And I think, the other things that I see, like I really take a sales aspect to looking at dealerships, right? Because I came up to the sales side, I sold cars, I did marketing. That's traditionally my background. I still don't consider myself a fixed ops person because I'm so new onto the fixed ops side. I love the fixed ops side. I try to be an advocate for those people, but what we
Those
have
people. I love
I
it.
do. I have
No,
to. I
no,
try to
no.
be the advocate for the people in the
I was gonna
dealership.
say,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you were from that side, the
Yeah.
sales and marketing side. Maybe I knew that,
No,
but
I don't know why everybody thinks I've been in like fix ops for like, but I really love the fix ops, the side of stuff. I've really learned a ton on the fix up side, and I really have a passion for it. But I think what I bring to the table is something unique where I can apply the sales side to the service department, right? So
Mhm.
things that I see that are problems that nobody addresses is when's the last time you heard a service advisor ask for a referral?
Like
or a
never.
parts or a parts counter person.
Yeah,
We're
no.
not teaching the service department and the parts department. Or when's the last time you asked them for a Google review? A parts person. Or so we're not teaching every part of our dealership to work together in harmony, right? So if we do something like that, that really starts to make them realize that there's this natural rivalry between sales and service, right? Most service people don't want to be salespeople
But they
because
are.
they're kind of icky, you know. And I am a salesperson, so I can say that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they don't want to be that. But let me ask you a question: if we ask every single salesperson in a dealership what their job is, what would they say?
To sell.
To sell cars, right?
Yeah,
Every
to sell
single
cars.
time you'll get the same answer. Now,
Yep.
if you ask every single advisor what their job is, what are they going to say? Then you might get 10 answers. They're going to say help
Yeah.
customers. They're going to say fight fires. They're going to say right orders. They're going to say all
Right
kinds.
orders.
But their job is to sell the most precious time thing that we have in the dealership, which is the technician's time. That's your actual job. Now, why is it that every salesperson knows that their job is to sell cars, and every service advisor has a different answer? It's because we don't have a set process. We don't have a set sales process in the service department a lot of times, right?
Mm-mm.
And so if we take that sales perspective and we start applying that, hey, how do we do this in parts? How do we do this in service? How do we do this with technicians? When's the last time a technician came out of the back to say, hey, you know what, you really need to do this and talk to a customer? So there's so many different ways that we can look at the sales side and apply it to the service side, and actually vice versa a lot of times.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I know you run into this too, is and we're gonna quote this real quick because this is my saying that I say on demos, and it has a little bit of a cuss word in it, but it
That's
is what
fine.
it
Do
is.
it. Just do it.
So I always tell the service people because there's always so much more hesitation on the fixed op side when you're pitching products, right?
Hmm.
Let me ask you a question: why should sales get all the cool shit? Why should they?
Yeah.
They have all the cool tools. If what I sold or what you sold was on the sell side, it would be much easier to sell either one of them.
Yeah.
But because it's on the fixed op side, it's very difficult. So that's one of the things that I look at is why should they get all? They have all kinds of stuff. They got Viato, they got Stockwave, they got all kinds of AI. They got, you know what I mean. They have the CRM. They have,
They have
all kinds
everything.
of stuff.
Yeah. You know
So
what I hear? I don't know
was
if you hear this. Isn't that your job?
yeah.
Don't
What,
I'm like, well, why wouldn't you use a tool to do your job better?
yeah. So whenever I get that answer,
Yeah.
what I challenge, because a lot of times when we're talking to dealerships, we're talking to general managers, dealer principals, fixed ops directors, parts directors.
Hmm.
But doesn't great tools in the hand of great operators yield extraordinary results?
It's a good
I mean,
response.
would you expect you have 4,800 price points on average in a service department because you have customer pay, you have extended warranty, you have fleet, and then you have employees, and all three of those or all four of those are different prices, and then you have about 1,200 services. So
Hmm.
you have 4,800 price points within a service department, and the service manager is supposed to optimize every single one of those without a tool.
That doesn't make sense.
If you told a used car manager they had to price 4,800 cars, they'd leave in 2 seconds. They'd be
Yeah.
like, "No, I'm not doing it," or take them a month to price all those cars, right? But
Yeah.
yet we're supposed to optimize every single part of that, or we're supposed to optimize every single part, or 9 times out of 10, if they put a parts matrix or a labor matrix in place, it's not custom to the dealership, right? It's not customized to the dealership. So you have to have data, you have to have tools to make it easier for the fixed ops directors, for the service managers, for the parts, and
Yeah.
ultimately you also have to have tools to hold the advisors and the parts
Accountable.
people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do that, then what hurts? Number one, gross profit hurts. Number two, your warranty rate and your parts markup increase hurts, and it just continues to hurt the store. So if you're listening to this and your service absorption is less than 100%, those are the two things you probably want to focus on first.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that the biggest thing with what was I gonna say, darn it? I wrote it down. There's so many things I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a big deal to look at. Oh, that's what it was about tools. Like they have to be used. You're not going to implement a tool to do the work for you. You have to utilize the tools to get the job done, to optimize. And that's the biggest thing. I think when sometimes we're looking at tools, we think it's going to do the work for us. I think it's going to allow us to do the work faster.
Well,
That's
in
right.
the common thread between our companies
Yeah.
is if a dealership signs up with Viato, they don't hear from their rep again. No one's there to help them. If they sign up for PartsEdge or Dynatron, they have a coach through the whole thing. They have someone to reference. Like it's way easier with what we do because you have someone there that you can count on and that's going to help you with gross profit opportunities and different things like that. Right? You have someone there that you can call. They can call you. They can call me. I don't care. I don't care if they call me. I might not always know the answer, and it
Yeah.
might take me a little while to get back to it. But if you're a dealership right now, I challenge you to go find your Viato rep and see who it is because you probably hadn't talked to him since they implemented, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same for Viato, DealerTrack, Vin Solutions, any of those big companies. A lot of times you don't even talk. I was in a dealership the other day, and they were paying for SEO on their website, and they hadn't had a meeting in 6 months. I'm like, how do you know this is working?
Yeah. You don't
So it's
know.
like for companies like us that meet regularly with clients, it's super. I mean, it's totally different on the fixed op side. Is we're trying to come in and help you make more money and be more efficient and see things that you can't see because service managers and parts managers are pulled 900 different ways during the day, right?
Hmm.
So if we can help reduce some of that time you're pulled those different ways and show you areas to focus on, that's exactly what it's all about.
Yeah.
Um,
Why not have a snapshot? Even though you know how to dig for the data, why not use a snapshot to see so you're like visually seeing, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I need to change so you can optimize and make things better. It totally makes sense. So you mentioned pricing with warranty and just because that's some of the things that you're focused on with the product that you sell, right?
yeah. So what we do, and basically what we do is we actually help fine tune the customer pay side because that data is used for the parts markup and the warranty rate increases, right? So if we fine tune that, it exponentially impacts the warranty rate increase and the
Hmm.
parts markup increases. I'll give you an example. So I came out of street Volkswagen and Amarillo, right? John Luciano, a lot of people know him. He's pretty infamous I would say infamous in the car industry. So our whole program cost 25 grand for that store for the year. Okay. Now our pricing's based on what DMS you're at, what OEM, what state you're in, because everything's different, right? So it varies a little bit. In the first 90 days or first 180 days, he made 91,000 additional in gross profit and customer pay.
Wow.
Over the year, they made 175,000 in customer pay. They got a $32 warranty rate increase, which was another 300 grand. So for 25 grand, they made $475,000. Now, when you sign up, it's 25 grand and we guarantee a 3-to-1 guarantee. So if you don't make 75 grand, if you make 50, we cut you a check for 25 grand. Now, I don't usually talk about pricing or what I do. I usually try to keep it not sales pitchy, but this is the reason why I switched over to the company. I've never once heard in my life on the marketing side, not a mailer, not a paid search campaign, not anything of anybody offering a guarantee. You
That's a
know,
big deal.
so it's just that's the reason why I switched over. Now, it's been fantastic, but I've also learned a couple of things that has been very like I really realized that we underprepare our service and parts managers. And there's one thing that I got from Luciano that was kind of cool. That's kind of tiny bit off topic, but
Yeah,
when COVID hit, he cross trained his parts counter people and his service advisors.
that's awesome.
So I think that's something that we have to start doing is, hey, is your service advisors cross trained with your parts people, or your parts people cross trained with your service advisors? Are
I
your
mean, yeah,
service Yeah, are your service advisors in the warranty trainings with your
that's a big
finance
deal.
people, right? So they know what's covered.
Hmm.
And a natural progression is from being a service advisor into finance because you're both selling off a menu.
Hmm.
And so I think those are unconventional ways to go about things, but the people that are going to win in this next age, because what's going to happen is we're going to get more at bats with customers as EVs come into the market. They're going to have to come back in. We're the only ones that are going to have the technology at first, right? So we're going to get some more swings. They're going to start pushing back to dealerships, even though we only get about 25% of the business. So if we can start pushing back and we can start, maximizing those at bats that we get in, then we can really grab some retention as EVs get bigger. Now, I don't think it's going to be super fast, but there's going to be other things. This is interesting on a parts standpoint.
Yeah.
They're going to have to re-rate tires
Yeah.
because EVs are heavier
Hmm.
and they have a lot lower end torque. So tires aren't going to last as long on EVs.
They're
And
gonna have
so
to have like special EV tires.
yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting because nobody's really been talking about that side of it. Is
Hmm.
tires and alignments and stuff like that are going to, and brakes are going to be huge.
Yes.
But so now's the time to get in the tire business for sure. Now's the time to get in. We can't let discount and all those other places take advantage of it. I don't know if you saw the new Netflix special, Tires. It's fantastic if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it. It has
There's like,
Shane Gillis in it, but they did a cheap tires campaign, and if you haven't watched it, it's fantastic.
oh, I'm
It'll
gonna have
really
to.
make you it'll really make you laugh. But it's actually kind of true with what's going on right now. It's so much easier to upsell stuff if you can get people in with tires.
Makes sense. There's that trust level of trust, and they're already done. What about one thing? Because it's both of our significant others are in the business, so it's awesome that we get to talk like at home sometimes about industry stuff. And I was listening to one of the clubhouses this morning, and sometimes he gets to listen when he's getting ready. But one thing he pointed out to me, he was like, they're talking about, buying all the used cars, buying all the cars. But he's like, the biggest thing he sees being on the fixed off side is the consumers' expectations. They buy a car with higher miles, but they're feeling like it's a brand new car, or treating it like it's a brand new car, whereas it's breaking sooner. So like this is like a totally different topic, but like setting those expectations. I mean, it's great for fixed ops because there's business there, but I think there's a disconnect when that
Yeah,
happens. Like,
I
yeah,
think
I don't
that's
know if you're seeing that, but
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think that's when you have to get another thing that happens in car dealerships is they have like extended warranties and stuff, and
yeah,
they've been using the same ones forever, right? And there's new companies out there that are much, much, much more innovative out there, right?
hmm,
So there's companies out there like you can look at Forever Start, right? Tim over at Forever Start has a fantastic product. You
yeah,
know, it's there's so many other ways to add stuff on to those to where you can really make it a difference. There's another one called Connect VSC Terry Tourline. There's another company
Or
out there.
not, yeah.
He's fantastic. One of the best dudes that I've ever met in automotive.
Yeah.
But instead of just having the basics, it gets some stuff that specializes in different things and that fits every single customer that might come in. Because there are going to be those customers. There are going to be those customers that need that help, and we have the ability to build value in those different products, and they're not gonna you're gonna make money off of them. They'll go into a reinsurance account and stuff like that, but different ways to where they can pay those out on a monthly basis, or you can make them affordable, right? And so I think just the problem that we have on the fixed up side is the lack of transparency, right? That's the biggest problem that we're up against independence, right? And I say this all the time, but you can see your car get worked on when you go to Jiffy Lube or Speedy or Midas, or right. You're sitting in the waiting room, you're watching your car get worked on.
That's true. Yeah.
So most dealerships you can't do that.
No.
Most so what do we have to do is we have to find ways to provide transparency,
Like
right?
video, pictures, right?
So we have to find ways to, and that maybe that's a tech coming to talk to a customer. Maybe it's, maybe it's, there's so many different ways that we can provide that transparency, but we really have to put that on our shoulders and say, hey, how are the new innovative ways that we can provide transparency? Speedy has cameras in every bay that they have, and you can watch your car. I can watch my dog when I take it to the thing. If I want to pay a little bit
Yeah.
extra, I can watch my. So there's so
That's a
many.
great idea because then the tech doesn't have to worry about using a video. It's just there. So
Now, sometimes when they're beating on stuff, that might not be the best thing, but
maybe you can control when you turn it on. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, right, yeah.
Because you can get frustrated sometimes when you're trying to fix things.
Well, you also have things like Bailey, or
Oh yeah.
that tracks how efficient every tech and how much cars are spending time. So you also have things like True Spot, right, where you can find where every car is on the lot, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of good technology companies out there that can help you provide transparency. Both of or I know for sure True Spot has kind of like a Domino's pizza tracker for how fast your car gets repaired, and so there's so many cool things out there that you can provide transparency.
And we have to keep up with it
Yeah,
because other industries are doing it. So that's the expectation, right?
yeah,
Like I don't grocery shop because I've got two kids, so I get my groceries delivered and I can track it and I can see where they
yeah,
are and
yeah.
and there's pictures when sometimes I get extra things that I didn't actually order, which is plus.
I always say this, and this is the best example. I don't know how I came up with it, but it's crazy. Okay, have you ever been to Krispy Kreme?
Yeah, it's been a long time. We don't have
Okay.
one out here, but yes.
No matter how, remember, in the 90s and the 2000s, the line would have been out the
Oh
door,
yeah,
right?
out the door.
Nobody gets pissed at a Krispy Kreme because they can watch the little donut go down and get iced and come off. Nobody gets mad
Yeah,
because there's so much transparency, and they know that it's going to be done the right way, and they know that they're going to be able to watch it the whole way. But
that's
back in the
true.
day when you were doing fundraisers and stuff, nobody got mad, and everybody would sit there for an hour in line watching the little conveyor belt and everything. So it's just the transparency. Now on the sell side, we were forced by companies like TrueCar and stuff to provide transparency. You can find out everything about a car, right?
Mhm.
So there's no sense that we can't have that transparency on the service side, and that would make everything easier. Everything, upselling, pricing, being, the only thing Damien Boudreaux says it best. The only thing you sell in service is safety. And he says that you should, I'm going to use my Cajun voice real quick. So he says, the thing that you should convey to every single customer is that if their mama drove this car off the lot, that they're going to be okay. And so that's what Boudreaux says. He's one of the great treasures in all of automotive. If you don't know who Damien Boudreaux is, I highly suggest you go find out.
Okay.
But that's all it is. At the end of the day,
It's
we
safety.
have to we have to let them know, hey, look, this is okay. If you do this, you're gonna be okay. if you do, it's going to be time to do this down the road, right?
Yeah.
Because then it might be turn into a safety issue. It's not necessary right now. So there's so many different ways that we can not really sell, but
Mhm.
be considerate in the service
It's
department
like
and the parts department.
educating,
Yeah.
right? It's selling, but it's educating because not a lot of people I think really see the safety part of it.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I look back to me being a younger kid and putting off like doing my brakes and stuff because I'm like, ah, it's fine, I can stop. But it's like, it's a big deal, if I can't stop my car or if my tires are bald, shame on my dad. But it's like, it's one of those things we have to educate. And so the biggest thing is educating, selling, and transparency. I think
Yeah.
the number one is transparency. It's what
Yeah.
I've gotten
Has
from
to be.
it.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Gary Vee says the best marketing strategy is to care, right? And it's on the background of my computer, but that's the best way to sell too. Is
Hmm.
just immense curiosity, asking a lot of questions, right? If you ask questions like we ask questions on the sell side to a service customer, and you find out they have three kids, do you not think that when you bring up the brakes and safety that they're gonna do it?
They're
Of
gonna do
course
it.
they're gonna do it. We
Mm.
were talking about this today. You had two kids going crazy today. If I
Yeah.
came in and I told you, say, hey Kaylee, I know you have a little one and a 4 year old. I know you're going crazy all the time. You might not have time to do this later on, or you might forget. If we could get this done for you today in a timely fashion, would this be something you want to do?
Absolutely.
And so it's like
Maybe I
just
don't want to stop the car though. I'm just kidding.
yeah, right. So yeah, yeah. So just a little bit of caring and a little bit of tact. You're not selling then. You're actually helping that person, but you're getting themselves out of their own way. And that's the
Hmm.
only thing I do on the dealer side. That's the only thing you should do in the service department. And that's the
Yeah.
only thing that you should do. That's the only thing you should do as a salesperson, right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you should be that person's car person, right? And you should say, hey, you know what? We got you taken care of today. If there's anybody else that you know that drives a car, maybe your neighbor, maybe your mom, you know, if you could send them over here to, because they're gonna know somebody, right? So if there's
Oh
anybody
yeah.
else that you say it like that, add some humor to it. Let me go ahead and give you my contact card, put it in your phone, and then just share it with them. No big deal. I'll help them out anyway. I'll take care of them just as good as I took care of you.
Yeah. That's the
Done.
best way to do it.
Yep.
It needs to happen because I think the consumer's perception is very closed off and they say no without even really hearing it because they're like, oh, they're just trying to sell me stuff. But no, it's about caring and sharing. This is a safety thing or this is something you need to prepare for.
Yeah.
So yeah. So okay, you travel a lot, right?
I
With work.
do. I do.
Yes. Okay, so I think a lot of people in the industry travel a lot. So I want to know like what are your tips for staying in line with goals? Because I feel like whenever you travel, you get off your routine and
Yeah.
your life goes haywire. So like how do you stay within your because I'm imagining that you're a pretty routine person. If you're in sales, you're probably pretty routine and
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
Unless you're a mess. I don't know. Are you a mess?
yeah, I am kind of a mess, but
Oh,
I'm
never
also
mind.
I have massive amounts of ADD. But what helps me get through is that I'm currently doing the carnivore diet, which helps a lot. So I'm pretty restrictive. I don't really drink. I don't really do anything like that. I don't really stay out too late. And I try to work out at every hotel, even regardless if I don't. What helps me when I'm home is I go to the sauna after I work out, and I work
Oh,
out at nights, and so that helps me clear my mind and stuff. So I'll get away, and I'll get away. I always eat local restaurants. I don't really eat at real fancy restaurants, so I'll eat local restaurants. I always make time on every single trip to do one thing at least fun to get my mind off of it because I feel like if I do something like that, like I was traveling recently with a friend of mine that works for Volkswagen, and we were out in Memphis, and we went to Memphis in May, the barbecue festival, and it
awesome.
was up my alley because I'm on that carnivore diet. So I ate three
Yeah.
big plates of barbecue. I ate so much barbecue, I couldn't even. I was so stuffed. And I didn't even eat before. I like waited because I
You
knew it was
waited so
gonna.
you could eat a lot.
I knew,
Yeah.
and all these guys are drinking. I'm not drinking, but I mean, we got out there. We got out there. They were playing all kinds of music. There was some guys from the Memphis Grizzlies there, so it was a fun time. I had a blast. The people that took us was the Gossett Automotive Group. They did the fantastic people over there and
Aw.
had a lot of fun. But I try to do something fun.
That's
So we have
beautiful.
we have a sales meeting coming up in Chicago, and so I'm going out a day early to go watch a Cubs game. So I usually like to go to a baseball game or do something like that
Yeah.
to
So it
kind
makes
of
the traveling fun.
relax myself and then move into the week. And I realized that I do a lot better that way when I take a little bit of time to have some fun and just realize usually when I'm in a slump or something like that, because it happens. You get in a slump, you keep going. When I get in a slump, I refocus and I'll look for a way to help somebody. I don't care if it's taking a little old lady's cart back. I don't care if it's carrying out her groceries. I don't care what city I'm in. I'm like, all right, I'm just looking around and being attentive and trying to find something nice that I could do for somebody to change my mindset. And so that's something else that I do intentionally. The other thing that I do is I have a hat, and on the back of it says "Here to Help." And every day when I put this on, it's like a psychological anchor. It reminds me of when growing up, and I actually wrote a little thing about it. I think you mentioned that. So I wrote a little thing about why I do that, but that helps me ground myself. And I'm not dressed to the nine with the tie or anything like that. It kind of lowers expectations a little bit. So when you're a redneck and you say something that's kind of smart, it sounds real smart whenever you. So that's kind of been my trick for a
I
long
love
time,
that.
but people are catching on. So
Actually, it's funny you say that because, like, in everyday life, running around town and stuff, I halfway look like a homeless person. So it's so funny. I'm like, people probably don't think I'm in sales or have a decent job because I look like a mess all the time. So that's a good point. But I want to hear about the Here to Help for those that don't know about it.
actually, this was done by Paul Daly. That's actually my handwriting,
Awesome.
but it's it's something I started a long time when I first got into automotive. I was looking at a way to brand myself, and back then I had hair, and it was like curly and
Really? How
spiky.
long ago was that?
Oh, it's 2013 or so. So I had hair. I had hair. It was spiky and stuff. And the owner of the dealership says, yeah, you can give him a free hat. He did not like my hair spiked up and stuff. So I ended up shaving the head and putting a baseball cap on, and then I started getting them custom made because I liked fitted hats. And then it just turned into my brand where I was kind of the first one to have the polo and the name on the polo and the hat and everything like that. Now, not the hat specifically because I got to say Jim Ziegler was the first one that I ever saw that had like that wore the hat consistently.
Uh-huh.
So, but I took pieces of that together, and then now I have like ridiculous amount of shirts and hats and stuff like that, and I had a huge. I got one of those big old noggin bosses, and that blew up for a little while. So I have fun with it,
Yeah.
but people. It's weird how people will come up asking for them all the time. So it's kind of been my thing for a while, but it's really a ground psychological anchor that grounds me, and it tells me, you know what, hey, when I take this off, I'm no longer in work mode. I'm in home mode. And it's very difficult for a lot of us that work from home or that travel a lot to switch those modes. So you have to have something that allows you to do that.
That
And you
makes
have to
sense.
have some sort of reminder. There's a lot of public speakers that'll like turn their wedding ring around backwards when they go on stage, or they'll do different things like that. And so I learned that from a good friend of mine, Jody Holland, here in town. That's actually my best friend, but he does a lot of leadership stuff. And so I learned that from him, and it's just really been crucial in my career. Is like if I want to switch modes or something like that, I need to take the hat off or switch the hat out or vice versa.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that should be that should be a good thing, or that is a good thing to especially for people that work at home, I think, because you have a lot of things that you're managing different lives, I guess, or like different things that are, I mean, it's like the same in a dealership, but I would say, especially from working home, you can get distracted.
Well, you have your brain's in different modes, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And
Yeah.
so I'll tell you a story. So you mentioned my wife, Courtney.
Yeah,
She's fantastic.
she
She's
is.
an automotive. So she used to come home from the BDC. Well, and let's say she had a bad day, right? Well, I used to run the BDC at the Volkswagen store, right? So my natural instinct is to fix problems. That's my natural instinct. That's not always what she wants. Sometimes she wants me to be like, "Oh, she's horrible. I can't believe she said that." You know? That
Yeah, yeah.
so either in customers or in spouses, the best thing to ever say is, "Hey, is this something you want me to experience with you, or is this something you want me to help you solve?" And so I
Got it.
started asking that question. I heard it from someone else. Started asking that question. It saved a ton of fights, because
Totally.
now I'm not just keeping my brain in the same mode. I'm asking her if I need to switch that into a different mode, right?
Hmm.
And so you can do that with customers too. Sometimes you have to ask them for permission to solve the issue.
Yeah, that makes
Like
sense.
after they vent, say, "Hey, is it okay if I solve this for you?" And they're like, it like diffuses everything. It
Yeah.
diffuses. They're like, "What?"
Or do you just
It's,
not want to solve it? No,
and
that
then some,
totally,
yeah. And
I
then
think that's huge. Yeah.
sometimes, I wrote a little thing the other day, and this has nothing to do with. I wrote a little thing the other day about problem solving, and I was thinking about this, and I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah.
It's on my phone, so. All right,
Well, while you're,
so
did you find it?
do what?
Did you find it?
Yeah, yeah, I got it. So the the things that I think about when I go through any sort of problem, regardless if it's in a dealership or not, is all right. First off, let's identify what the problem is, and then you have to identify if you have the skill sets or not to solve it,
Hmm.
right? And if you don't, then do you know someone that has those skill sets, right? And if you don't know someone, do you know someone that might know someone, right? That could connect you.
Yep.
And can this be looked at from a different perspective, which is what we talked about all day today, right?
Yeah.
How do we derive a solution from a different perspective? And then the next thing that I run it through is, what's the solution? Can I work backwards from the solution to solve the problem?
That makes sense.
Or is it a problem that's going to fix itself? Because sometimes it is.
Yeah,
So
that's
those
so
are
true.
those are the ways that I go about solving problems on a daily basis. And people only make two decisions for two reasons. And this is going to be a funny part. This is a Boudreauxism, is what I call it. But uh, he says it's all about the PP. And people make decisions to move away from problems or to move towards possibilities. And so, regardless if you're selling to dealerships, regardless if you're in the service department, regardless if you're talking to customers in the parts department, if you find out what the problems and possibilities are, you're either going to sell a car, or you're going to upgrade, or you're going to sell some more work, or you're going to sell additional parts or accessories or whatever. If you find that and you're focused on finding the problems and possibilities, not on just selling the car, it makes everything easier.
Yeah. I I've learned so much from you talking. This is why I love doing these because like a lot of the things you're talking about, it's just like it feels like it resonates, you know? It's things I go through. It's good reminders. And you know, it's really cool to like have these conversations. So thank you for coming on. And I think a
Yeah, I
lot of the
appreciate it. I
listeners,
had a blast. If
yeah,
anybody wants to reach out or needs help in any sort of way, I don't care if it's marketing, website, CRM,
yeah,
DMS, or just want to run something by me. My email is just bpaschal at Dynatron Software. You can reach me there. I'll help out any way that I can, regardless if you do business with us or not. That
yeah.
that, that has no impact on if I help people or not.
Yeah, I'm with you on. I think that's awesome. And then if you want to look them up on LinkedIn, you're active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And we'll have the links too in the show notes. But is there anything you want to close with or add before we? we end this?
No, I think we covered a good variety of topics.
I think we did.
I appreciate you sticking with me with my ADD brain. So
Okay, it was like 80. Like my notes are a mess.
yeah,
But I
you
think
should,
like
you should pray for my wife is what you should do.
yeah, like we went from technician, warranty, marketing, sales, service, referrals, transparency, number one,
Yeah.
full circle, traveling, carnivore diet, everything.
Well,
But it's all of the important things, and I think it was great. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you for joining us. PartsEdge, the power tool for your parts department. We hope you're leaving feeling motivated, challenged, and inspired.